a VRBO out there, and we could be down in that front door to front door, we could be there in 6 hours. Because the Legion, flies there, and it's just, I love Tucson. It's my home away from home.
Ready.
Where's your gavel?
There, I guess right here. All right. Call the meeting to order. Teresa, roll call.
Okay, Espinoza.
Here.
Kutil.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Miles.
Here.
And Anderson. Randall and Graham are absent with notice. Have to go in order here.
All right. I'll look for approval of tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. Got approval of the agenda, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? I'll look for approval of the minutes from the May 13th, 2025 meeting.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I've got a motion and a second for the approval of minutes, the May 13th, 2025 meeting, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Public comments? Nothing here. So we do have any hearings, petitions, or applications. There's no old business. So we're on to new business.
Right.
Teresa?
Okay, the first thing on the agenda for new business is review and approve county plat for Lot 1 of Ruhlman Edition, I'm not sure if I've got to pronounce that. But basically, this is a plat of land that is not in city limits, but it is in our platting jurisdiction. So that is our growth area. Per our subdivision regulations, that if anybody wants to plat or replat area that is in our growth area, they do need to come through our city boards and get approval before they can take it to the county for platting. Part of that process is that they are required to sign a pre-annexation agreement with the city. And basically, that agreement just says that when and if the city borders that parcel, that if the city asks them to annex, not saying that we will require to them, but if we ask them to annex, they won't fight it. They won't oppose it, that they would annex. I do have that pre-annexation agreement. It is signed, so that is all good to go. Basically, the replatting, from what I was told, is that they just want to put this parcel up for sale and sell it, so that is why they have replatted this. And used to be part of the bigger parcel that surrounds it, so they've just replatted this 7.5 acres here. So, like I said, it's been reviewed by the city engineers. Their approval letters on the desk. I didn't have that on Friday when I did the package, but I got it this morning. So everything conforms to our regulations and our standards, and they recommend approving it.
So if it does sell, all of that still passes on with the property then, the annexation and all?
Yes, this gets filed with the county, and it's,
Part of
just
that.
follows the land.
The new owner that buys it.
It's attached to the land, not the
Okay.
owner.
Okay.
Seems pretty straightforward to me. I don't see why we would
Yeah,
not approve it.
I don't see
I
any
agree.
issues with it.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the county plat for lot 1 of the...
I'd make a motion to approve the plat.
A motion, a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? No? All right, let's vote. Keely?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes?
Espinoza?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. All right, second item, review, discuss TIF guidelines, policy 2025-1.
So this is kind of, we've had our second TIF come to the city with Windsor, and we had talked about this, that, we've only passed one before. This had a second one coming. I have had inquiries from other developers. This is going to get more and more common. So it would be good to have in place some kind of policy that would set down some criteria of, you have to have this, 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 and this, or we're not going to approve it on the onset. It kind of gives us some guidelines, a little checklist of, does it meet this requirement, does it meet that requirement? A lot easier to review it versus just having to bring a plan to you and you kind of deciding, well, we do it for this guy and that person. It just kind of streamlines it a little better, gives both boards, the P and Z and the council, something to go on. So I did do some looking into some different TIF policies, contacted some cities, Lennox, and I kind of used their template. That's why the Lennox is in that first paragraph that I need to change. But Lennox, Mitchell, and Brookings kind of have very similar ones. I kind of like their format, and that's the format that I use to go by the policy that I put in there. So I did kind of tweak it to fit Hartford. Talked with city attorney on it. He had some suggestions of different wording to put on it and different criteria. So this incorporates not only what the other cities had in place, but incorporates suggestions from the city attorney as well. The biggest thing, the first couple sections just kind of talk basically about TIFs and what they should be used for, just kind of basic language, you know, what the objective of the TIF is. Section 3 is probably the criteria is what it's probably the checklist that I think in my mind of what we should look at of whether we're going to, you know, approve a TIF or not, or let it move forward. So that's kind of the most important. Basically, the first one of it is they call it a but-for clause, and they use it a lot in contracts, that basically a TIF, what it's originally set up for, and it's kind of getting, developers are kind of tweaking it how they want to do it, but basically a TIF is going to be that we're going to try to revitalize this area that's blight, that would be developed, that, you know, as it is, you know, would not increase in value or, you know, be any asset to the city. So a developer will come in, and if they can utilize a TIF, then that gives them the financing means to be able to do something with it, where without a TIF, they wouldn't be able to do anything on their own. So it's kind of a before. This, you know, you need the TIF, or it's not, development's not going to happen. So they need to show a need of why they need the TIF.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the biggest thing with that.
Communities that are looking to grow, but they don't have a developer in town. They're maybe
Right, exactly,
do,
ones that don't.
But yeah, there's no new houses. Let's try to get something started on
Yep,
one side of town.
that's why you use a TIF.
Yeah,
is
that's the
that-
way I always thought that they should be.
Yep, exactly, and that was
Means.
kind of the intent of a TIF is,
Yeah.
yes. But like I said, more and more just kind of using them to supplement their
Yeah.
financing. The second one is approval of the TIF on the front side before construction begins, because
Yes.
obviously if, like, we had that discussion, council had that discussion, same as you guys did. You're already doing it, obviously you didn't need the financing, it was gonna
Right.
move forward regardless, you
Right.
know?
Right.
They just wanted, you know, and I get it, a developer, it was just a means of, you know, being able to make it more financially sound for them. But TIF should though be, come to us with a plan, let's look at it on the front side before anything happens. So that's kind of basically the second criteria. Equity requirement, and this is kind of in codified laws, the developer must provide a minimum of 15% equity of the total project. So they got to have an investment in the project too. The TIF isn't financing the entire development. TIF should be used as a supplement, and basically, whatever they can't finance, that's what the TIF should come in, and at the minimum amount. It shouldn't be, you know,
Right.
to be the main, you know, financing of the project.
So that equity requirement of 15% comes from, is that what other towns are doing, or is that?
That is what all three of these other towns are doing, that have a policy
That have a
in
policy.
place. Yep.
Just seems low.
It doesn't, and that's a minimum. I mean,
Well, yeah.
it'd be great if they had more, but, you know, the lease has to show that they have to have some equity into it.
Right.
And yeah, we can change that too. I mean, that's just what they had in there.
don't.
Tom had
Yeah,
suggested that as
I'm
well.
gonna come in and, I'm gonna do some development.
Yeah, I mean, if you buy a piece of ground, they usually want at least 30%
Yeah.
cash down, and then you
Yeah,
can
and
finance
then,
70.
like I said, we can set these
And
wherever
then-
we want.
I have a feeling that.
I think if we change that, then we'll have to look at the next one, TIF cap then, right?
Right, yeah.
Probably.
And the next one is the TIF cap, that it shouldn't exceed 25% of the total project.
So you think having that will eliminate the 15%?
I think so, I think having both those in place will be their investment into the TIF, yeah. I think that would, yeah, make up for that 15% equity.
Okay.
So I would give 40% of the cost of the development would be covered either through the TIF or personal investment first.
Right, right.
Right.
And then as it,
Well,
So you're at 40%, right?
they're
So
just-
you got-
their investment's 40% of it, basically,
You could have the,
at a minimum,
yeah, so ours can't be over 25, right?
right.
And they gotta provide at least a minimum of 15, so 60%'s gotta come from,
Alone.
Bank financing,
do the
pay as you
first two
go,
that we-
yeah.
I was just curious, the first
Yeah.
two, did you compare this to the first two TIFs that we've already approved?
I did not compare it, well, we've only approved one, Maple Pass.
Well, that's true. But the other guy put his application in before this, so
Yeah.
he wouldn't have to live up to these standards then?
No, we can't go
So-
retroactive, no, so,
So-
these would be anything going forward, yeah.
Yeah, I just was wondering how
yeah, or,
that compared.
I think they
Not
would
really.
definitely meet that for, I know for Maple Pass, and they've done a couple revisions too, as you guys know, with their financing. They are still well below, the TIF investment is still well below what the full investment is. And Windsor Group was as well too, if you remember, their total investment was like $7
It was $1.5 million, I think.
million. I'm gonna say $1.7 million, but it could be $1.5 million, and they were, well, no, that's what they were requesting, $1,250,000 is what they were requesting, but I think it was like $7 million total. I mean, it was well below what
Okay.
they have total investment, yeah, so. So, yeah, I don't think that their TIFs were, out of line with this at all, they would definitely need it.
yeah, I like the 25%.
I was gonna say, if we don't touch that one, then I think you can leave the equity requirement.
Right.
Should stay that then, in my opinion, because they're not gonna go over the 25%, so.
Yeah, they're gonna have to come up with capital somewhere.
They're gonna have to,
Agreed.
yeah, they're gonna have to have some capital investment in it.
So,
Yeah.
or they're just, their minimum of 15 is gonna be up to 75, whatever it
Right.
is,
Agreed.
So most we're doing is 25.
Right. The next one, the prime basically says they do gotta comply with the TIF requirements and codified law, so if they're doing a housing TIF, they gotta comply with those housing standards, if they're doing a commercial, so that's, obvious, you can't do a TIF outside of what codified law lets you do. Qualifications basically says as well too, you gotta meet the Department of Revenue's qualifications of if you're doing housing development or commercial development or industrial development, so you gotta comply with the state regulations there. Number 7, the 3 TIFs that I looked at, and I said there was Mitchell, Brookings, and Lennox. They had this in here, and I do want a little discussion on this. This says basically, if it's a housing TIF, that 50% of the lot sales need to go towards the TIF. I guess I want the board's thought and input on that. To me, that kind of seems a lot. I don't know how that would hamper the financing for the developer, because then you're only getting half your lot sales, and infrastructure is expensive. But,
It's required that 50% of lot sale goes towards the TIF until the TIF is paid in full.
right,
So-
exactly, until it's, yeah, paid in full.
So
but-
if a lot sells for 100,
I mean, it is definitely a mechanism to pay off the TIF faster, because it isn't just your taxes going to it, they're also contributing lot sales to it as well, so
And
it'll get the
so
TIF paid faster.
The fact that it's high with that, I don't want to hinder them from wanting to build
Right.
Well,
housing
and
because I
that's-
want them to build housing.
Yeah, and that was my thought, is that too high where it might hinder them from?
Because my thing is,
Or-
I would really want them to build housing. I want them to bring kids into this town, so we're getting the money to our schools. So yeah, if that's gonna make them not wanna build housing, and
Because, and this,
Well, it doesn't
and then
sound
this
like
says if residential housing is a component even, so even like Maple Pass, they would have had to comply with this if this would have been in place, which now they don't, because part of theirs is housing. The whole TIF is called economic development because they got a commercial component to it, but part of it is housing where the apartments went and stuff, so
so when they
that,
sold the lot
those
to
lot sales would have had to have gone towards the TIF.
So when Cookie, whatever, Star purchased X lot, 50% of that.
Well, not the Quick Start, this is just for any
Residential lots? So what do you have up there for residential lots, though?
Well, you've got the 5-plex units
Twin.
and the big,
Twin.
to 69, I mean, because it's all zone residential.
Right, right.
you know.
But
There's
as far
lots.
as lots, sales, you'd have the townhomes up there,
Yeah, yeah, just townhomes.
essentially, because
Yep.
the apartment complex. Yeah,
But like, so the Windsor group, and if you remember their layout when they came, they have along Colton Road 38 as commercial.
Yeah.
But then back,
Which
on
I
the
don't
north
like.
part was multifamily.
Commercial, like-
And
I like
then
that
to the
all.
east was twin homes in there
Yeah.
too, and those are all different lots.
Yep. So it'd just be 50% of your residential lots.
Yes, that is how they have it worded.
And it's not even, it's not that I don't like the commercial, I don't like the storage units. For sure, I don't like that.
Yeah. So,
So, yeah.
I think it's okay leaving it in there because we're not setting a standard higher than my other communities. You got 3 other communities. and
well,
they're
it's
all
true,
the same
that is
thing
what
in there.
those 3 communities.
It is an incentive for them to pay that TIF off soon.
But I don't see Lennox growing.
Yeah, it's,
Lennox is
Brandon's
growing
growing.
some, yeah.
yeah, Brandon is growing, but.
I thought you said Brookings is the other one.
Brookings.
Brookings, yes.
Brookings is growing,
Yep.
But
Mitchell.
who's
Mitchell,
How many
Brookings, and
TIFs?
Who's
Lennox.
requesting a tip?
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you might have a
Right. And I
developer,
don't see Lennox's school getting bigger.
you know, a developer might come in and not want the tip because they're not gonna make,
and
I don't
and
think that's
that's
gonna
true.
hinder a developer though.
I mean, that's
And then
supposed
that's
to
the
be
thing, I
our-
guess the discussion is, do you think it would hinder a developer or
Not when
not?
we're
That's
this
true.
close.
Yeah.
You know, because if we don't think it'll hinder a developer?
If we were Salem, maybe, you know, I think we're just too close.
Right, right, and we want to encourage more residential,
Right, I
Okay.
think,
then maybe you would
I can
drop
see
that
both
or not
sides of
have
it.
that.
yeah, I mean, I don't,
I
Or
I
maybe,
agree
I
with
guess,
you. I
they-
think
I
we're
guess
growing
maybe
good
they could
enough
even
and we have
negotiate.
enough
Maybe if that
development
was
that-
bothering them, maybe they would say, no, we don't really.
right.
Maybe that's an issue.
Yeah, I just don't, no, I just,
Well,
they're gonna want the tip paid off.
here's the
We're
kicker.
gonna want it.
You
Right.
know, the developer might keep a bunch of lots, and he's probably gonna build some up, so sure, he could sell a lot for $100,000, or he's gonna build a house on that, and then that whole thing is gonna sell. Is that, what are we taking 50% off? Because if they actually put a house on it and sell it with a house on it,
50% of the
then-
gross sell price of the lot.
Right,
Yeah.
but let's say that developer takes half the lots, puts houses on them, has the
Spec
rest
homes?
of them, yeah, does a bunch of spec homes or whatever.
The county's still gonna assess the lot, the
Assess the
homes
lot.
differently.
They
So
are.
we can,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
We can
you're-
separate that
we
for
can
them.
separate that.
You're assessed on your lot and your house separate.
Yes, yeah,
And I'm- that's true.
everybody gets a lot
Lot,
assessment
yep.
and a home assessment, so that's easy to separate. You
So-
know.
Then I don't feel so bad if it's just lot. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's just lots pricing.
Yeah,
Sell a lot for
that's
$100,000, they're only out $50,000.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's true.
You know.
Yeah, we're not, like you said, we're not doing any different than surrounding communities, and I think we got enough development going on where I
Yeah.
don't think that'd probably hinder them either.
And to Brad's point, we're close enough to Sioux Falls, I think that we're right in the sweet spot.
Yeah,
One developer doesn't come in, another one might,
true.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly,
oh, you know,
yep, exactly.
Did you check with Harrisburg?
Harrisburg does not have any TIF criteria set up at this point.
So. it's not really-
Harrisburg has put a moratorium on
Probably need to
TIFs.
encourage
Huh?
everybody.
the,
Harrisburg has put a moratorium on TIFs, they're not granting any more TIFs.
Oh.
They've
What do
had
you-
too many come in
do you
the last
blame
few
them?
years, and
they don't, why would you grant one?
And Harrisburg is, yeah, they're building enough, they don't need to give a TIF, that's just
They don't
it.
need to give you a
So they
tip.
got to pound it
I also
out.
wouldn't want to pay their taxes.
Right,
That was my,
Yeah.
I just
You
wanted to
know.
find out if they did have one, then.
Yeah, I mean, they did a lot of
What are
them,
they using?
they didn't send any TIF criteria. I do know they have come back to us and told me, we're not doing any more TIFs.
they don't need any help to go.
And they don't need help to help, yeah.
I think leaving the 50% is good. I think we're okay with
I
that.
think we,
Okay, yep.
I mean, we would want our TIF paid back sooner, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
it definitely
that's the way I
helps the
want to
city,
do
because
that,
that
too.
makes that
So-
TIF get paid off faster than we can get our taxes, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not
Right.
50% of the sales price, it's 50% of the sales price of the lot.
Right, exactly, yep. So, okay, that sounds good. Number 8 is discretionary formula. So we did implement this with Maple Pass. Basically, we have out there, you know, any new construction or whatnot, a commercial can get, you know, the first year they're only assessed at 25%. They get a break. The second year's 50%. The third year and fourth year are 75%. And then it's, so any new development gets that discretionary formula where they're assessed, you know, in increments. It's kind of a tax break to them. If you have a TIF, you don't get that tax break, basically. Basically, the city's saying, we want it assessed at the full value, because we want that difference going to pay the tip. We did require this with Maple Pass, and we would want to require it with any tips going forward, and they have it as well. And that's wording definitely from the city attorney as well.
Yeah,
So
I think
that's
your
a
general
good-
consensus is pay that tip off.
Yep, pay that tip off test again, so we can get those tax dollars back to the city, so we can start paying for other things.
Yeah.
Get the-
Yeah,
so.
since it's only-
So those are the big things. The other thing, I kind of, those are the criteria that we'd want to look at. The other thing, we do have in here about an administration fee of $25,000, or $25,000, that'd be great, $2,500.
These are
We'll keep the 50% in there.
Yeah, annually, and they all had, and these prices kind of differed, so I kind of took the lower one, I just didn't want to scare anybody off too, but $2,500 would definitely pay for, we have to, we get the taxes sent in to us, Karen has to put a voucher in for that, she has to write a check for it, we've got to process it, we've got to send it to the bank every quarter, so I mean, there is some office work done. $2,500 would definitely cover that time and that fee for that. It'd be something to charge. Also, on section 6, under number 2, we have $2,500 for the initial fee. I think we have to charge an initial fee on top of that. And that's just for review, like when the Windsor TIF came in with the Maple Pass, staff, we're meeting with the attorney and we're meeting with the engineers and we're looking at it. I mean, it does take time and effort to review one before it even gets presented to you guys. So I definitely think we need to charge a application fee and then that $2,500 annually. Basically now it's just what amounts do we think is fair. Brookings charges a one-time fee of $10,000.
Oof, duh.
Lennox charges $5,000, plus the ongoing yearly charge. Sioux Falls only charges $2,500, which kind of surprises me that they got more staff though, I guess. And then Mitchell has an annual fee of $5,000. So they're kind of anywhere from $2,500, like the
So
Brookings is kind of extreme to $10,000.
Their annual fee of $5,000. So on our, are we saying here that you initially come in, you got our $2,500?
Yep, and then we'll review it, and then if it passes,
And that's just to
every
get
year
it
we'll
reviewed?
charge another $2,500.
That's just to get it reviewed for $2,500?
Yeah. Yeah,
That's the application fee.
that's the application fee. Now, that application fee probably could be a little bit more. I mean, if you want a tip, would you pay $5,000?
What's $2,500 on it?
And you don't guarantee that you're
But
gonna
you
get
don't
it.
Get it approved.
Yeah, that's no guarantee you're gonna get it. It's just a review fee, basically.
Yeah.
That one-time
About
review.
$2,500 on a $1 million project?
So did Jeff have to do that?
No, so none of these criteria was in place. So
Oh.
Jeff or Maple Pass.
Because
do
I
not
was
have to
saying,
do that.
I think Kutil's the one that told him to, or no, not yet, no, who told him to come in? What's his name?
Oh, I understood, Mark.
No, I thought it was from the
mayor.
council.
The mayor.
Oh,
Electrician.
Travis.
Travis.
Oh.
Kutil told him to come
Travis
in.
Kelce?
And then I
Travis
think, then they, yeah, and so I'm
Travis
thinking, he come in and then he got beat up and anyway, I think he's probably thinking, what the hell you guys make me do this for?
So I feel, yeah, I don't want to,
So if you charge them the review fee and it gets approved, do you write them another check? Would they write us another check for $2,500 for that first year?
for that first year, yeah.
So it could be $5,000.
It could be 5,000 that first year, but then subsequent years would be 2,500. So it'd be a one-time 2,500 for the review. We could get it approved or not, and then if it gets approved, 2,500 each year thereafter, just for the administrative of, we've got to take the taxes, we've got to write them checks to the bank, we've got to, we got to administer the TIF.
But you are saying in here too, like if the project doesn't move forward, then they'll get 50% of it back minus other.
Right,
expenditures
right.
still. I mean,
Well, you're never gonna be able to increase the annual fee after they get their TIF. So I can see going to 5,000 a year.
On your
For
annual fee?
annually?
Because, yeah, when wages and stuff go up every year, and
I mean, $2,500 may seem high now.
Yeah, and it takes how long to pay off the tip?
In 10
Yeah,
years.
they're 20 years, 10
Yeah,
years, 20 years,
And
depending how long the TIF goes,
Yeah,
yeah.
and 10 years, $2,500, we're gonna look back and laugh at that.
Probably.
I mean, staff will go up, right? I mean,
This is a policy, though, it could be changed.
True.
You couldn't go proactive, you know,
It
if
would
you
be any
pass one
tips
and made up a
going
tip
forward.
going forward, you could, you know, so. So, I mean, it's, yeah.
Well, I think our upfront cost of 2,500 seems low, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
We could meet in the middle and go 3,500.
I mean,
Thirty-seven fifty.
That's close.
right. I mean, you're upfront, you're dealing with who on the upfront?
So on the,
City?
I think you've got more time and effort on the upfront, because I'm reviewing it, Craig's reviewing it, the engineers are reviewing it, the attorney's reviewing it. Usually there's a meeting with the mayor. I mean, there's a lot of upfront review before it ever gets to
I
the
guess that it
boards.
makes sure they have all their.
So
ducks in a row.
2,500 for that.
Too.
Right.
That one-time review, I think it's kind of low.
Yeah.
You're right, it's, you know, and
You've
they're
got-
making sure they really are serious about.
And then that's just it. It's like, okay, if you really need
Really need
this,
it, and
Yes?
you're
Yeah.
gonna,
not
yeah.
just rolling the dice and seeing if you can
Well, that's
get
just
by.
it. Like right
Right.
now, the
Right.
last two, it's like, it didn't cost him anything whether they
But you
came
still
or
had all
not or
that
Just had all
whatnot.
the time into it.
Sure,
Exactly, I mean,
good point.
so that one-time initial fee, whether 4,000, 5,000, and then just that 2,500 annually thereafter, there's not a lot of work to do on, once it's approved. We get
Just do
the
it
tax
every year,
money
yeah.
in, we've got to record it, we've got to do a voucher and pay it out every quarter to the banks and the checks. I mean, it,
If you had, I just
Sometime,
figured
but not
a
ton.
$1.5 million tip, I think is what the last one had. If you took that 2,500 and divided that annually, it'd be 1/10 of, one
It's a
and
minimal
2/3
fee.
tenths of a percent. 1/10, yeah.
yeah, it's
1.23.
very minimal, and,
Yeah.
So
I've got,
less
no-
than one, less than 2%.
I think you doubled your initial cost to
5,000?
5,000 personally.
well, and that's what Lennox is charging, so I mean,
And
it's not
you got
like
a
they
lot.
can't say,
And if it doesn't get
We're lucky.
approved, then you get
Yeah.
2,500 back.
exactly, then you
That's
get,
true,
you get,
maybe
more-
half
yeah,
back.
exactly,
Yeah.
so I mean, it's
You get
not,
half back.
it's
Right?
fair,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
But
it's
if it
fair.
does get approved, they're gonna want to approve, they're gonna make that $5,000.
5,000 to get a
In any time.
$1.5 million tip,
Yeah.
that'd be
Uh,
worth it to a developer, if they're serious.
If they're serious, yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna make 5,000. If you're not gonna make 5,000, you shouldn't be
Pay
developing.
5,000 to get 1.5 million.
Yeah, I
Right.
think that seems like I'd do that.
No,
And then a 37.50
I'll do
annual
that.
fee, is what you said?
3750, is that what you, I said, we were talking about 5,000 and we're talking about 2,500, we could meet in the middle.
But he
and
said
go
pay 5,
35.
and then if you don't get approved, you get 2,500 back.
No, but earlier, right before we started talking about that,
Yeah.
I said we could meet in the middle and say 3,500 annually,
I'd go 5.
just stay 5
Five,
and straight
just
through.
annually
Yeah.
5, so bring them both up 5, okay.
5, your annual charge, I mean, that's,
God, you're talking millions of dollars,
Peanuts.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Doesn't
it's
seem
true.
like-
Yeah,
It's-
when you're
it's
talking millions of
pennies.
dollars,
It is
Look at
probably.
that percentage,
Yeah.
that's such a low percentage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna want that TIF paid off too, right?
Yep.
Is this just a recommendation to city council? Is it-
Yes,
this is a
yes,
policy?
it's a policy, so it has to go to
And
city
who
council.
did you say
but-
was 10? Brookings was 10?
Yep,
Just 10,
10,000 one-time fee.
so there's just a
They
one-time
don't have a
fee.
yearly?
They'd have no
No.
annual, so,
Now Lennox has 5,000 for the one-time fee, and then ongoing legal and administration fees, so I suppose they figure.
bill accordingly.
They
What
just
the
pick
actual
up the
cost is
fluctuates.
yearly, it'll fluctuate, whatever it takes.
I'd rather do the flat rate unless you'd rather.
I gotta
do it.
say, then you
Then
gotta
you
keep
gotta
track,
figure out
then you
your
gotta keep
time.
track time and materials and
Yeah,
costs
no,
of
that's
this,
not
and flat rate's much better.
And Mitchell was,
Mitchell was an annual fee, so every year 5,000.
they're 5,000
Yeah.
annual.
So we're right in, I mean, we're in line for the most part.
I'd say we, yeah, I mean,
let's set the standard.
I think we're going to develop like Mitchell and Brookings, not like Lennox.
Right.
Right.
100%.
So,
It's 5,000, 5,000. Okay, that'll be our recommendation. Those are kind of the big things I wanted to talk to you about. Does anybody have any questions or concerns on your end, or suggestions?
My question you answered when you said that, because I wasn't sure, was if they sold lot, if they, if that portion of the tip had to be paid.
Right.
on the lot.
Right, okay.
Is that the way it typically is with the other cities too? If you have a tip,
That was from the other cities, yeah.
the their portion of that is paid
Yep,
off?
yep, that was right in their
Is
policy
this
too.
current application?
This is what would follow the policy, yes.
So this application isn't what they fill out now?
Well, no,
No.
because we never had an application, so we're
Okay.
adopting an
Got
application.
it.
So,
I
we're
didn't know
gonna
if there
adopt
was
the
an
policy, we're gonna
application.
adopt the
The
application
application,
and kind of the checklist with it,
Then
yeah.
I,
We
okay.
don't have
It's
anything
all
in
my
place
highlight,
now.
and none of this.
Now it's
none
just
of this is
willy-nilly.
Met by a storage unit.
Storage units are capital investments too. They're investments in the city.
But it does not add any kind of employment. It does not increase the value of my house in my neighborhood. Just telling
I
you.
would say storage units.
Why don't you come take a walk over in my neighborhood?
Oh, I know,
So,
I know,
let's not talk about the value of the
I know.
neighborhoods yet in this town.
I know.
We should,
But let's keep it in an area.
Oh, okay,
Let's not
yeah.
keep dispersing it throughout
Let's
the
keep it up in
town.
the trashy
Or
end.
we're gonna be like,
so do you just
Storage
need
unit
a
town.
review,
I would like
or
a
a recommendation?
recommendation.
A motion?
The
to
motion
recommend
to
it?
recommend the policy
With the
as with
changes?
amendments, yeah.
Okay, I'll look for a motion to,
Second. Oh,
I need a first.
I would make a motion to send it to council for, with our recommendation for approval with the amendments.
okay,
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Stacey?
Yes.
Troy?
Yes.
Keely?
Yes?
I'm a yes.
Make sure you knew my first name. Okay.
He probably had to live it.
No, I didn't.
Just kidding.
I don't even have. All right, that is done. Mr. Clarke?
All right. I don't want to go too fast.
Okay, I told you, wait for everybody to write, okay, go ahead.
It's not that-
Yeah, no.
Residential, we have 10 open permits, and sometimes you do like a pre-file, and then it'll be a file, but I don't really count them until they're file, so, anyway. And then with this one twin home set up, which is near you, I believe, so. Commercial car wash, have not been inside the facility, they haven't been asked, and it's really gonna be gut work in there, but you can see from the outside, they're doing the parking lot, the curb and gutter, I think it'll be a lot better. You can visualize it once the parking lot gets done. And then the 126 North Main Avenue, the rough framing was done when the building across the way. Pro framing over there on North Oaks, all the rough framing has been done, so that one's moving forward. Party stores on Road Trail, we closed that one out. And Max Storage, 3 of the buildings are having internal offices and mezzanines, and that's what's being finalized right there. I think the rest of the storage units probably are pretty much finished. They haven't called for any kind of finals. It's one big permit, so they're working on those 3 buildings that have internal offices and things. And then the storage warehouse up on Root Trail that backs up to the interstate, the underground trade work has all been done, so. In the wastewater recovery facility, I talked to the project manager, and he's not quite ready for the building department to come out and do a final inspection. I think he said there's some equipment that's still outlying, and maybe Teresa even knows.
Yeah, we got some of the equipment still yet to come. A lot of the stuff is getting hooked up. We've already pumped some water over there and done like some testing, like the report said, we've had pumps tested. We've done the A-train, which is basically one side of the air mod, so we've kind of done the process, make sure everything all is working in there as far as the mechanics. We will very shortly be pumping from our lagoons to there, and then do testing to do a full cycle, basically, to see. And then we will get seed from Sioux Falls, so basically some activated sludge from Sioux Falls that has the bugs that kind of, does the process. We will get that from Sioux Falls, and that has to basically kind of be in place for a couple months before we're then online. We're still on track, probably ahead of schedule. Our deadline is October 1st. We're thinking maybe August, September, maybe at the latest, so we're still kind of ahead of our deadline, so.
The weather probably helped.
Yeah, I mean, the last winter and whatnot was great to,
No snow.
Yep, just
Could
to
get
keep
out there
moving
and-
forward with the construction, so,
Yeah.
yeah. Lift station is essentially done there. I think the only thing left, we have one pump we have to test in there, but it's pretty much all in place and done, all the piping's done. It's getting the plan up and going. We're finishing off the inside of the building, well, with the offices, cabinets are coming in, we're getting all the computers in there, you know, all the bar screens, all the technical, you know, lab stuff in there, so all that equipment's coming in, so, yeah, it's getting there, it's close, it'll be ready to go, hopefully.
How many gallons of bugs do you have to bring for St. Paul's?
I could not tell you that, how many loads, we need to bring a few loads, I know, and we better truck it over, so.
We need quite a few of them.
Yeah, we're gonna need quite a few of them to put in there, to let them sit then and kind of do their thing.
Gross.
That's what they need, bugs to do their thing.
That's what keeps the smell off, though, that's the.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Need.
When you get the smell from lagoons, a couple times we've had issues, it's when we've had a hard winter, or when,
Not enough
one time
bugs.
when the pool dumped their chlorine to it and killed our bugs off, so you want to kill your bugs, you need your bugs.
Bugs.
Yes, so.
They did? The pool
Yeah.
dump?
One time, this was a few years ago, it's like we
Oh.
couldn't figure out how the, you know, smell was coming, and we did samples, why there was less, and well, we kind of traced it back to, they were dumping their chlorinated water into it, and that's not good for lagoons. So now we've gone through the process, you have to dechlorinize that before you can dump. So, but that's one of the things, so, yeah, different things affect it, you know.
Okay, anything else for Paul? No? Kyle's not here.
Nope, he is on vacation, so.
Okay.
Wait till the next meeting.
All right, and then anything you wanted to add, Teresa, to your report?
I don't think I have really anything to add. Just, so the update, so the Windsor TIF, as I put in my, the council did not approve the district. They had kind of the same concerns you are, that they're up and going, you know, we're already, you know, do you really need this or whatnot? Then the discussion kind of went, the mayor had actually talked with the mayor of Crooks, and they had a TIF come through where they basically needed to get sewer piping, sewer mains over to where this TIF was going to be. Only part of it was going to be in the development, the rest of it was outside the development. They incorporated what the city cost of running that main outside the development would be for it, and they incorporated that into the TIF. So that got us to thinking about Second Street. You know, they have the two, it's all one parcel, but the two different sections. You know, once development starts at the north, they are going to want that paved. So is this something where we can maybe work with them to incorporate the costs of Second Street into that TIF? A way of, not so the city would have to bear the total cost right away on it, that TIF dollars could pay for that. So we are actually going to meet with the developers, Jeff Zacharias and the gal that wrote his TIF, and the city attorney that tomorrow, and have that discussion. I think, and I can't speak for the council and members, but I think if there was some way that could be implemented, it may be more palatable to the council, that we would getting more of a public infrastructure in there, more of a, as part of this TIF, versus just being totally for the development.
Would they have to come back in front of us again for our recommendation to send it back up to council, or would Jeff just have to meet?
I guess I can't answer. I guess it depends on, it significantly changes that
Got it.
TIF, so the dollar amounts may just, so maybe
Right.
it would have to do the whole process again. You know, this is just creating the district, so
Yeah.
that part I don't think needs to come back to you
Okay.
guys, because I think then it can, if they're open to that, and if the council's good with that, and we create the district, then the dollar amount, what the TIF includes and whatnot, it can all be part of that plan, which would come to you guys anyway.
Got it.
Because, you know, we create the
Because he still has
district,
the zoning.
and then we
right?
gotta
Right.
still do the plan. So I think all of that could be part of the plan and the developer
Got it.
agreement and whatnot. So I think that'll just, if the council does approve the making the district, then we work on that plan with them of, yeah, maybe it'll work, maybe it don't, maybe they'll be for it, maybe they won't, or what. We're gonna meet with them though tomorrow, so we'll see how that discussion goes. I think that will kind of lead the way of what the council will decide to do, whatnot. Otherwise, yeah, I don't really have any other updates for you.
Everything going well on Western Avenue, they can have that open?
Not when they
Recent rain
originally
probably
told us.
Oh,
No, we just had a
that's
meeting this
crazy.
morning, and, yeah, they're behind at least a couple
The
weeks.
dry weather was really good.
It was, the dry weather, even though we needed rain, the dry weather was really good for construction, and once that started to hit, they're
Yeah.
running into some wet spots, so they were hoping to have it done by the end of this month. No, it'll probably be 3 weeks, they said. If it quits raining, and it may be even longer, so.
Yeah, I'm guessing it'll be a while.
Yeah, they've got some work to do there.
First
yeah.
2 weeks it was up, they actually blocked the exit onto Oval from the Ace. And now they've taken those cones down, so I found that interesting. I've had to tell my son to stop driving through the Ace.
Well, we got complaints
Yeah.
from ACE of people driving through, and that's why we kind of
They
went
have-
around the barricades, and then they even drove through the grass, we were told. Once even the barricades were
Then
up,
they
they
just
went
removed
through the ditch and
barricades.
drove right through the grass. So then we got complaints, it's like, okay, well, what do we do about that? And, yeah.
I told my kid, I'm like, if I catch you, you're not gonna like it from me as your parent, but I said, he's, well, I drive slow. I said, doesn't matter, you're gonna have to keep, some kid could be walking out of the store.
Drive around.
It's not that much, it's not that
Much farther.
much farther, so.
Yeah.
It's a hassle. I mean, the neighborhood sucks.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
really bad
It's-
right now.
And it's kind of a mess with Maine and
The-
Crestman Trail, I get it.
The problem is though, that neighborhood there, you still allowed to park on both sides of the street.
Yeah. so it's
It is
hard to-
horrible when you have 2 lanes of traffic going and
Yeah.
it's like trying to drive out here.
We've kind of brought that up to the residents, and they don't want us to bring it down to, because then which side
No.
do you want it? They don't want to, take away their parking.
I don't blame them as a resident.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
right,
want that
yeah.
either, but.
Yeah, it's a no-win. The sooner it gets done, the better. We'll have to muddle through it. Except, we get through this year, hopefully all will be
I
good.
laugh. I mean, I would be the same way with those people, but one of those people took one of those plastic slow signs, literally stuck it in the middle of the road.
Yes.
Yes.
Thinking,
We got to
okay,
talk with them, it's like, you're making more of a hazard with
Yeah,
that, because now
I
people are
mean-
swerving around it.
Yeah,
into
then you have to
traffic.
literally swerve around the whole thing, and I'm
It's-
thinking, I get it, people, but,
Yeah.
It's true, but people are still driving 35, 40.
yeah, I'm
Just
sure
I
they
told our
are.
public
Just in
works
the
guy.
I'm sure they
You guys
are.
see it there one more time, just take a sign. It's in a public street.
I'm
It's not
sure-
on his
yeah,
property.
I know.
I do wish that the city would make that a 4-way stop sign though.
At Crestman and
on
all.
Crestman.
I'm surprised they didn't for the.
It's
It
only
was
two ways.
discussed. It
It's
was
only one way
discussed.
right now, and it's horrible, like, all 4 people should stop when they're sitting there, just
Yep,
so people can
just
stop and
right
think.
now,
Yeah.
yep.
Worried that at the end of this construction, this is all temporary, that we'll try to change driving patterns, and then,
Agreed,
then you switch it around again. Now we're changing it, you probably cause them more confusion
Yeah,
that
I
way.
suppose, but
Yeah.
That's why we put the flags up there, and we painted the white.
Yeah.
Nothing
It's a
is
no-win.
gonna-
We just need to
it's a
get through
no-win.
construction. It's a no-win situation, that's. for
I make a
sure.
motion to adjourn.
Oh, is there a second?
I'll second.
All
Either
right.
one of us.
He nudged.
All in favor?
Aye, aye, aye. Aye, aye.
Perfect. Meeting adjourned.
I got basketball to go watch. Go Pacers.
No, no.
So we
I
just
want the
came-
next
We were
meeting.
just down in Oklahoma.